Hello, everyone. This is BizChicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today I am here with my friend and co host. I am here with Miss Caren Fern, all the way from Toronto, Canada. We are so happy to have her in the house. She is our money mindset coach, and she has been so gracious as to lend us her time and her intellectual capital. Guys, get a pencil out because we're about to take a journey. Coach Karen, welcome to the show, and it's so
Thank
good
you.
to have you. How's it going in Canada? Is it snowing today?
It's not snowing, it's cold and a bit windy.
Mhm,
And thank you for having me. As usual, I so appreciate it. I get to come and teach every Wednesday, and I'm always so happy to come do it. I prep myself, I did a little bit of soca dance, and now I'm ready to go.
Well, I'm loving that lipstick color. It's gorgeous. It's
Isn't
gorgeous.
it? Thank you. I
Mhm,
love it.
and
Was a,
it's
was a good.
February. So it
Mhm.
reminds me of Valentine's Day. It's the you're looking good, girl.
We're in the love month.
It's the
We're
love
in the
month.
love month, guys. I call it the love month February, mindset and love. Okay.
Indeed, indeed. So with that, we're going to get this party started. What do
Yep.
you have for us today?
Today we're talking about about creating a management money style, right?
Hmm.
Making sure that it's your style. Mine won't be yours. Yours won't be mine. Don't worry about anybody else's style. Just find out what it is. And if you know what it is, lean into it and make it work for you. That's what I
Okay.
gotta say. That's a statement. Lean into it and make it work for you. If it need tweaking, get in there and tweak it, okay? But if it works for you, don't go changing it because you hear something new. If it works for you, keep it. If it needs tweaking with a little bit of nuggets that I'm going to drop today, add to it. But don't
Mm,
take it away if it's working for you. You know,
okay.
don't get all crazy now with
I like
it.
this.
There's really no right or wrong answer. You just have to figure out what your style is. Here's the key: apply structure. It's important to apply structure to whatever your money style is.
Okay.
When you apply structure creatively, so you don't have to feel bored and stiff about it, things work better for you. Okay. Some people money style is get my money, pay all my bills, what leave over, I'm gonna figure out what to do. I don't like that style because it usually gets you into trouble. Is it
Mm,
paying all your bills? Yes. Are you getting some left over? No. Are you have enough to do other things? No. Then there's where the tweak comes in, right? So I want to be upfront with that. That's where the tweak come in. That means just a little bit of a shift. Maybe you need
say that again, coach.
some people get paid or their business pay them if they've set up right that way. And they pay all their bills, but then there's not enough left over to do anything.
Oh, okay.
The paycheck to paycheck cry.
Yes.
That's what that is. That's the paycheck to paycheck cry, I call it. And a friend of mine had asked me years ago, why are you calling it a cry? I said, well, you mightn't cry in front of me, but are you going home to cry? If you're not meeting your bills, you're going home to cry. And it don't have to be tears, but it could just be sadness within. Let me explain the
Yes.
cry. It could be just sadness in, or it just could be the things that you say to yourself all the days leading up to payday, the days after payday, leading up to another payday. So this specific friend of mine would cry a lot about it without tears, but the pain was there because it was never enough to sustain where she lived.
And
What she
when you don't have enough, it
Mhm.
creates other physical, what would you call it? It comes out in your physique in other
Mhm.
ways.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It affects
Yep.
your, here it is. It affects your health.
It affects your health. You gain weight, you eat all the wrong things, you're feeling exhausted because people don't sometimes realize that mental those mental things that's happening to you, that's what mindset is so important, really drains you in ways that you don't recognize right away until you're
Exactly.
fully drained. You can physically be doing something and understand that you're tired and take a break, but when you're mentally being drained, it's you at a footnote before you recognize that you've been draining yourself mentally for
Mhm.
months, weeks, sometimes years. So it's just hard to come back out of that. And so if you have no, if you haven't figured out your style yet, You're going to have to do it. You have to figure out your style. And one of
Mhm.
the best ways I find to do it is get yourself some money, even if it's play money, and feel however you feel when it's distributed, when it's all gone, when you're just paying things out. Because that pain that you're feeling allows you to know what happens when your money comes. It really, really makes you see who you are. You're joyous maybe when you buy a dress, but you're upset now that you have to pay the credit card bill later. You know, those are real things for people. But
Mhm.
what drove you to buy the dress? Did you plan for the dress? Or you're like, I don't want planning because planning is taking away my joy of buying the dress. But that's because you attach that emotion to it. That's the only
Mhm.
reason why you're feeling that way. How could you detach the emotion? That really make you have to go back now and look at yourself and understand where that's coming from. What's happening to you? I didn't grow up with a TV. I come from South America, West Indies. Most people in my time didn't have a TV, so I crave TV. So when I
Mhm.
bought my first TV, I watched it until 2 o'clock the next morning. And I did that for like 2 weeks straight. I was so tired every day from work, from staying up late watching the darn TV.
Mm. Okay, that's
And my
interesting.
mind was, I just want a TV. And then I got one in my room, make it worse. But in my head, I didn't know, but at the time I was making up for all not having. So I'm trying to catch every program, everything that's out there. I'm just filling me up. So you need to find out what's filling you up. But then I had to come to my senses and says, I could only watch TV for an hour or two because obviously I cannot watch TV for several hours because then I run into problems. The minute I hit 3 hours, 4 hours, then all hell broke loose. I has no sense of pullback.
Mm.
It's a Stevie, but the same goes for your money. If you're a spender and you've been spending, you need to find out why you spend the way you spend. And only you can look inside of you. You can get help, but you have to still do the work of looking inside of you to understand why you spend in a certain manner. People spend to please other people, even though they're spending also to please themselves because they have to look a certain way, carry themselves a certain way, because then people will like them or they will like themselves better. If
Uh-huh.
you don't even recognize that they're doing this, if they haven't investigated. When you investigate these things, it becomes a less of a burden to pick a money style, to live into that style, and be content in that style.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean you can't splurge. That don't mean you can't have nice things. I always say to people, if you want to have nice things, just set aside some dollars and you'll get there. Set aside a timeline, set aside some dollars, and you'll get there. Hence why people hate budget because they feel restricted. And they don't understand is the roadmap to your freedom. It's not restriction, it's a roadmap to your freedom. I'll say it again. It's not restriction, it's a
Mhm.
roadmap to your freedom life that you want. A client of mine, I was saying to her just before Christmas, well, a couple months before Christmas, she needed a new computer. And I said to her, I said, you can have the computer. You just have to budget for it. So we went through this whole thing again. She said, but I'm not making enough money to buy the computer. So how would I do it? And we sat down, and would you know it, she was making enough money with a little bit of sacrifice to buy the computer. Not right away, because her
Mhm.
computer was going, but we budgeted so she can buy the computer in June. We had set this out. She knows we went through her budget. We got it straightened out. She's making enough to sustain, and she has a side gig. The problem is she goes back to the old. And so we would have this conversation. She's like, Karen, why am I going back to the old? And I said, because it's home. That's where you're comfortable. For the longest while, you were able to complain to everybody you meet. I'm broke. I live paycheck to paycheck and I don't have any money. This is something you do. It's in your system. And so now I'm asking you to leave home. I'm asking you to go sit on a comfortable couch, to sleep in an uncomfortable bed, because that's what this is doing. It's pulling you out. It's letting you see all the money information and stuff that you've been dealing with. We're highlighting it. And I'm saying to you, you can afford a computer. You can afford a
Uh-huh.
new phone. You can eat well. You can still pay all your bills. But here's the little sacrifices that you're going to have to make. And it simply means when you get paid, you can't just take money out your purse like crazy and give to your son and anybody that come along in church in every which way to solve their problems. So that you use the ammunition that you don't have to sustain you. This is not me telling you you can't give, because we're done. Set aside your tithings. We did that. We've set aside your giving. We did that. We've set aside all your monthly bills.
Mm-hmm.
Your boss give you a raise. So we were literally buying the computer from the raise, from the bonus, from the new salary.
Okay.
And she still fought me on it because she has to leave home. She has to now not have extra money to do whatever she needs to do. And so anytime somebody says to me, Caren, I'm right at my brink, I do not argue, because I know at that moment, that's all you can see. Our conversation allow me to dig deeper to see where the loophole is happening. And when I see it and I call you out on it, or I say to you, this is what's happening, it's usually a fight. And it has to be because I'm asking you to leave home. I'm asking you to get up out of that wonderful warm bed that you were in. And that bed doesn't mean that it doesn't have nails and screws and things that's poking you. It just means that you've been lying in that bed so long that you stop ignoring the nails and the screws that is poking you. Those nails and screws are you not having enough money. Those nails and screws are you don't make enough money. Those nails and screws are how you're running your money journey, and complaining about it, it become part of you. So, and this is the part where nobody wants to hear, you actually, it's okay in it.
Mm-hmm.
You actually, part of you is enjoying that comfort. Part of being poor or not having enough money, whether you want to believe it or not, because it's the comfort that you've known, you don't.
You return to it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to leave. That's why if you make a lot of money quickly, you run right back to it. It really hugs you. It takes you back.
And this is why we say, give yourself permission to be successful in your
Yes.
business, in your life, in your finances,
Mhm.
Because it may be a paradigm shift.
Yep. Yeah. And it's big. It's big in the sense that I don't tell people to let go of their friends, but I say you might have to take a break from some friendships to actually live within what I'm talking about, be able to do the things. I remember once I had to tell a friend of mine, I said, I didn't even, this was years, this is over 20 years ago. I said, I don't think we'll be talking with each other a lot for the next year or so. I just got some things I got to do.
Mm-hmm.
She was a friend that drained a lot of finance out of me, other than emotion, but finance, she drained me really dry. And so I needed to take a leave of absence, if you will. I just needed a year. I needed more than a year probably, but I needed a year. And I think about 6 months in, she called me and asked if she could come over. And I said no, because I needed the time. She wasn't happy about it, but I needed the time. Because she's a lovely person, but she was draining me. I wasn't in this path where I'm at right now teaching about it, but I just felt emotionally, financially drained. And she even said to me, I'm going to pay you back what I owe you. I know that's part of it. I said, it is part of it, but you can't come back yet. Because I wasn't strong enough to let her back in yet. I wasn't strong enough to say no. I wasn't strong enough to not be back in the same position when she left. And it wasn't about her. It was me building up my strength. It wasn't about me teaching her or helping her. It was me building back my strength. And sometimes we have to look after ourselves. Not sometimes, we should always, but look after the strength we need to be able to do the things we got to do. So if you're in a position right now where paycheck is it's what's happening to you and you don't know how, and you got to let some people go just temporarily. If you think you need to keep them in your life after, you're going to have to do that. If you feel you need to let a part of you go that is keeping you there, you got to let her go inside. We all got different sections of us. And it's okay to say, girl, for the next 6 months, I'm not buying a shoe. I have enough clothes. Sit down and, put some outfits together.
Mhm.
For the next 6 months, here is my grocery list, and I'm going to strategically stick to it. For the next 6 months, whatever it is you need to do, because those things in itself, it's not necessarily saving you money. Sometimes it do, but it's really setting you off with discipline, consistency, and sticking to your word. Because sticking to your word for yourself is so important. People really minimize that. When you say you're going to do something for yourself, you need to do it.
But we often do not keep the promises that we make to ourselves.
Hmm. Hmm.
We'll keep a promise to others before we'll keep a promise to ourselves.
Exactly. And I always say, keep a schedule. This is the other part. If you promise yourself something, always have a timeline in when it's going to get accomplished, and keep notes. Like I keep notes. So if I'm going to do something, I want to be able to measure and check in. So if it didn't turn out the way I have a note column, and in the note column, I'll write why I couldn't do it. Like what happened that I couldn't stick to my rules, that I couldn't get it done. Like the reason I'm writing this note is because it's there to remind me and to see that it's true that happened. Now, if it was an excuse and I say the same thing several times in the note, it becomes this habit. And I have record to prove that I'm getting now into a habit of making an excuse for this specific thing. And even if the excuse is not the same wording, I can see the pattern over time that I'm making an excuse. Why I'm not drinking a glass of water? Well, it's wintertime and water don't taste great in the winter. It's true, but I can still sip on it. Even if I only had a glass, but not 8 glasses, at least I have some water. So I'm sticking to my water schedule, however little that is. So a simple thing as water that, I want to keep a track on, because for me, water in the winter tastes terrible. I have to drink warm water. Like if the water is warm, I can drink it. So I'll drink off a glass or two of warm water quickly. The minute I put ice in it and I'm sipping at it, I don't get too much water for the day. And so I had to find that out over time. But I want to keep track, and I want to know these things. So whatever I'm working towards, we talk about profits in daily. This is we're talking about making money. And to be able to do this, we got to track. Most people are in a job and want to transition.
I'm sorry, my leaf blower guy is out there. Can you hear him? Okay.
Slightly. No, I didn't hear one, but I figured something.
I was going to say, what are we trying to transition to?
The people who's trying to transition out of a job, full-time job, to get into their business, self. If that's what they're wanting to do full-time, then money become a big issue if they're not structure, if they're not figuring out where this money goes, because life is not going to get another client the same thing. She really truly want to leave her full-time job, but she's struggling with being able to put aside enough money to be able to transition. And she's only struggling because she's living in the comfortable place that she don't want to leave. Now, she leaves lots of times, but she finds herself going back in. One of the other things I didn't mention is once you decide to leave, all hell, as we say, break loose. Everything that could happen will happen. So you have to give yourself time for that. Like, if you wanted to leave in 6 months, maybe you want to say 9 months. So for the first 3 months, things are not going to go great. If you own a home, I remember one time I was planning some stuff and my hot water tank went. And I asked the guy when he came for maintenance, I said, it's old. I don't have the X, Y, and Z. You think it needs changing? Look at it. He said it didn't need changing. 2 weeks later, Terry, the water heater broke. The furnace guy I had to call. And the AC started dripping water. Those 3 blows, I can't even tell you. I mean,
Yeah, I can't.
All at once. And I had to bring in somebody and said, at first I was panicking and I said, Lord, you are directing my footsteps. So this is good. Because if they come in and all get done together, then we have this one date. And even though it's expensive, we have this one date that everything happens together. So I can keep track. And this is good. This is good.
Morning,
Good morning, Cecilia. So we got that looked after, and great, that happened. But because the stuff I was planning was getting into big territories, so of course that happened, so that took
Mhm.
a chunk of money out of what was supposed to happen. But I had to step back and just think about it. These are the things that's going to happen. I mean, that was mine. Anything could be yours, could be anything that's going to happen. You have to give room for it to happen, and it's okay. It's okay to
Mhm.
give room for it to happen. You're just going to have to get creative around what else you can do. How do you get past? How do you get through? How do you tighten up? Also, it is giving you a tester to what's to come. It is testing you to see how you're going to handle what's to come. If you had your paycheck coming and now you're depending on paying yourself, how are you going to pay yourself when stuff happens? Are you preparing you? It is coming to rock the boat enough so that you can get what's going to happen. This is
Mhm.
not to discourage you from business. Because if you're in business already, let me talk about people in business already, and you're not giving yourself a salary or owner's draw, if you if you don't do bookkeeping, your bookkeeper should be explaining that to you. Um, and you're not doing that, and you said, I'm putting everything back into the business. That sounds all great and dandy, but you still have to understand these portions, these part of it. Now you can get owner's draw and then sing the money right back into the business, because now you've got a record that your business are able to pay you, and so owner's draw is showcasing that, even though you're putting it back in, because you might have saving to live off of, and so you have that, but the owner's draw is showcasing to you that the business could actually pay you. And that's important, because you can't run a business if it can't pay you ultimately, eventually. You just can't. You just knitting or sewing or whatever you're doing, but it can't pay you. It has to pay you. I
Mhm.
remember
Mhm.
playing on Shark Tank, and she did bags. And Shark Tank guys, especially Kevin, he was huckling her about nobody's gonna buy those bags from you, and he give her a lot of huckle. But until she brought out how much money she was making from selling the bags and
Mhm.
actually do the bags, then he calmed down, because she understood money. So she had seniors, whether you're in a home or live on your own, who want to still be active. Either you can sew, you can knit, or you crochet. Those are the three skills you need to have. And then
Mhm.
she would train you how to make the bags, and she would pay you. But
Mhm.
it was less, because he keeps saying if it went to China, it would have been cheaper. But she had her numbers broken down, and she said the shipping, the custom, and she went through the whole thing. She said when you add all that up that nobody talks about, it's way more expensive than I am looking after my seniors
Mhm.
right here in the States, because her goal, and that's the thing about your mission. What is your mission for your business? Her mission was to help seniors not feel lonely, abundant, and displaced because nobody has time for them.
Mhm.
Making them feel good. That was the first mission. The second mission was if you had pension, but it wasn't enough, you would have a way to supplement it without having to go find work and do work that you really do, back breaking work. So in her, they can sit down and actually do this at their own
Yes.
pace. And she felt this was also her giving back. And she said, Kevin, you don't want to hear this, but this business was given to me by God. And so I'm not asking you permission. I'm here asking for money, but I'm telling you, this is my mission.
Mhm. Okay.
That's how she addressed it. All the other sharks were like, you're in your seat. But it was good because she understood what she needed, what she wanted. And then quite a few sharks wanted to partner with her. I think about two of them partnered with her. So she
Mhm.
understood that money structure. She understood what had to happen. And she knew her money style, and she knew how to get there. Now, we are talking about what is your money style, and you need to figure out what that is. And if you don't know what that is, hey, book some time with me so we can discuss yours and see where you need to be. If you do and it needs tweaking, get in there and tweak it. Okay, get in there and tweak it.
I,
And there's lots of resources beside me that you can go check out. YouTube, Google.
I think the problem too is, Coach, that we are not used to tracking our money.
Hmm.
And if we're not tracking our money in our personal life,
Hmm.
we're less likely to be tracking our money in our business life.
Yes,
And
yes.
I also think that we think it's complicated.
And it's, yeah, true, true.
Now, this is what I did. I just created a simple spreadsheet, And every time I sold something, I put it in the spreadsheet.
There you go. That's how simple.
Because I what was trying to figure out, am I really making money in this business?
Yeah.
And then in another column, I would put every time I spent money on the business,
Right.
bought supplies, bought
Yes.
fabric, whatever it was that I was doing,
Yes.
paid for a course.
Yes.
I put that on the spreadsheet too. And then at the end of the day, end of the year, I just added up the columns.
That's simple.
See if I'm in a deficit.
Yeah.
I think we just really complicate stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're starting and you don't know what to do like Terry, then you could even hire a bookkeeper and they can have categorized things for you, explain it to you for a one-time cost. Maybe you don't need them ongoing, but if you really truly need somebody to sit with you and just go through cost and how it works, they'll help you. And then you can just carry on from there. Some people don't need a bookkeeper all the time, but some people need them, sporadically. Some people need them. And I really think a bookkeeper is a really good resource when you're just starting out. And if numbers is your problem for you, if you've always had problems with money, you really need to sit and talk to, everybody says get an accountant and a lawyer, but they don't get into the nitty gritty. The accountant do not get into nitty gritty. Accountant, my friend like to always say, they're auditors.
Okay.
But bookkeepers really get into the nitty gritty, all the expense you're going to incur, all the right way to set it up, all the going out and coming in. They really do the nitty gritty, and then it's passed over to the accountant for overlook. That's why we call them the auditors, right? And it helps you now to see where things are. And yes, a lawyer is important. Don't think I'm discounting the lawyer for whatever you need. Yeah, you need it for the legal stuff. But when we talk about accountant and bookkeeper and accountant help you with your taxes and what have you, bookkeepers can do it too. But they're really, people used to say they're data clerks. People call them all kind of different names, but they're way more than that. Bookkeepers really let you see where you're falling up and falling down. They catch it. And if you're starting off with them, they'll set you up right. And they'll say, and you got to be honest with them, telling them what you need for your business, what it's going to look like. It's like it's a conversation. It's not, here's how much I charge and I'll do your books. I mean, a good bookkeeper really sit you down and have a conversation with you and really walk you through what needs to happen. And by the way, you don't have to have a business to have a bookkeeper. You can have a bookkeeper for your personal life and style. Because if you do,
that is interesting.
Understand. When I first did bookkeeping, I did it for just personal. Like I had a few people who I just did it for them personally, and it really helped them to find out some things about themselves. Again, back to that first client I was talking about. She had a way of when she get paid, she would just say to her son, he asked for something, go buy this, go buy that, go buy that. Somebody at church needs something. I'm not telling her she mustn't help. But what I wanted her to do was categorize. So there's a few young people in church that she want to help. Okay, so every month I'm going to set aside $100, $200 to help the young people at church. So when the 200 is done, it's finished. Versus, because there's always going to be a problem. And then she can't get to what she needs to. And she's doing so much that she wouldn't feel like she can go to the church now and ask for help because she's the one giving. That's the other thing about giving. When we give a lot, we don't think we can ask for help. We could, by the way, get in there and ask for help, but we don't think we can. So,
and we haven't set aside anything to help ourselves in the event of a crisis.
Exactly.
Exactly. Take a loan from ourselves because we didn't set anything aside.
Exactly. In Guyana, most of the Indian people, that's what they do with themselves. Those people, because a lot of Indian friends, they always have their own bank. I hear people talk about banking here, but they're true bankers. Not in the bank, their own bank in terms of they always have money to borrow from themselves because most of them are in business, or a group of them will come together and form their own bank.
And people talk a lot about family banks.
Yes, and they're really good at family bank, friend banks. I had formed one with a bunch of guy friends of mine, and because we all were young at the time, we were in our teens. I think, we were about 16, 17, and we'd founded our own bank, which means the pool was there, and anybody that is contributing to the pool can come in. You still have to state what you need it for, when you're going to pay it back, and what's going to happen.
Take out a loan.
Yeah, and everybody agreed, and then once you come to me, because I was the holder, and then we still need the signatures. Like the group of us still need to come together and know that, claimant is going to be having a loan. He's going to take out $500. This is what's going on. Paul, Rod, Tony, all of us sign it off, and he signed it off, and he goes away with 500 and he bring it back. And if somebody else need it, and that really helped us through all the way up to, we were in our 20s when we squashed it. I remember all of us just at different times when Paul joined the force and he wasn't able to hold a job while he was in training. That he had money. The thing with Rod was a carver when business wasn't as great. He had a pile of money to come into. Having those banks, I forget about all those things now I'm talking. It just came back.
We've done a lot of things over the course of our lifetime that have been beneficial, which is why we are comfortable right now. The things you did yesterday,
yes,
is the life you're living today.
Yes, you were so right, Terry. Right.
Because life is a series of decisions, people. So if you don't like what's going on with your money, make a decision to change it.
Yes.
So
Final statement. I love it.
So tomorrow can look different from today. Okay. So we're going to have to go, guys. But
yes,
Coach, you want to wrap this up for us real quick about money style?
We talk about money styles today. If you got one and it's working, work it. If it needs tweaking, tweak it. And if you don't have any, figure it out. Put all those money in the tip. If it's play money, and figure out where you go from here.
I love it. So if you're looking for Coach Caren, you can find her at Profits in Daily everywhere on the internet machine.
Exactly.
And you may, if you're having concerns about your money or questions, you may want to book an appointment with her, inbox her, let her know what's going on, and let's get our money straight, people.
Yes.
That's Profits in Daily with Coach Caren Fern, and that is Caren with a C, all the way from Toronto, Canada. Guys, we love you. We want to remind you that if you're looking to become a part of BizChicks, you can simply text BIZ to 33777. We'd love for you to be a part of our community so that we can support you and help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and connect you with wonderful individuals who are willing to share their intellectual property with you to help you do business better, like Coach Caren Fern, TJ, Terry Johnson Online, and many others. So come on over, become a part of our community. We are looking forward to helping you run a profitable business that's fun to run. Become a BizChick if you haven't already. In addition to that, we want to remind you it's okay to be successful.
Yes.
It's okay to be successful with your business money, your personal money, and your life. So remember, go to the front of your own line. Have a great day. Thank you again, Coach. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll be talking happy, healthy habits with Robin Shimizu and friends. Bye-bye, everyone.